Good afternoon. It's fantastic to be here this afternoon to talk a little bit about the work that we do at the Gatsby Plant Science Education Programme. So thank you so much to Lauren, and congratulations to the Oxford Botanic Garden on their 400th anniversary. It's really nice to be able to bring you some of the ideas that we do to support young people and inspire them about plant science. So we're a programme and we're based in the Botanic Garden in Cambridge. And we're a joint project of the Gardens and the Sainsbury Laboratory in Cambridge. It's fantastic to be immersed in the beautiful surroundings that we have there, as many of the audiences, I suspect, in their own host institutions. And what we're about, we're funded by the Gatsby Charitable Foundation, and we are funded to try and boost the interest in plant science for those young people that are going through their formal education. And partly what we're about is to respond to that problem with the plant pipeline that Jonathan Mitchley might be talking about this afternoon. So what we're here to do is to try and boost the interest in plant science. So we have two areas of activity that we work across, one of which is with primary school, secondary education and post-16 teachers and technicians in schools and colleges across the UK. And that's through our project called Science and Plants for Schools. We're known by teachers as SAPS, and some of you may be familiar with our work. And a little bit later, Alex is going to introduce some of the projects that we do, the SAPS project. The other activity that we do is working with students, and that's working with post-16 students and undergraduates through our higher education activity. And I'm going to introduce a little bit about what we do for that part of the programme a little bit later, but mostly we're going to be focusing on the work that we do to enthuse and inspire young people about plants through schooling. So we're a relatively small team. Here's the diagram of all of the people that are in our team. There's myself and Alex, along with Jamie and Chris, who work on the SAPS side of the activities. Chris is a practicing head of biology at a sixth form college, and he brings that element of real know-how of what's going on in schools to our programme, so that we're making sure that we're responding to the needs and demands of teachers across the UK to best represent plants in the classroom. And then we've got the higher education side of our programme, so that's Andrea and Claire and Charlotte, and they work to support young students in various projects that I'll outline a little bit later. So I'm going to hand over to Alex, so Alex Jenkin, who is the project manager for SAPS, and she's going to talk a little bit about some of the things that we do at SAPS to try and inspire.
Thanks very much, Dan. Yeah, so as Dan said, I'll be giving you a bit of a whistle-stop tour of the different things that we do. The SAPS programme has been running for over 30 years, working with school science teachers and technicians to develop resources for school science teachers and technicians. So one of our real strengths is that we work with teachers and technicians to develop the resources that they're looking for and that they need to teach the things they're teaching day to day. A lot of what we're doing is about building confidence and enthusiasm within the education profession, teaching plants. Many people who come to work as a school science technician or work as a biology teacher or a chemistry teacher having to teach biology may not have done any study on plants since their own school days. So we're really about supporting them with extra knowledge, and particularly we've had a focus on practical resources, but we do lots of other things as well. And our approach to inspiration has two prongs to it. So we're thinking, as well as those very useful resources for teachers, we're also sort of adding in exciting contexts and hooks about plants, so things to inspire in that way. And then the other side of that is that, as I'm sure many people here today already know, that plants are amazing anyway. So there are incredible things that plants do that sometimes we just need to sit back and think, wow, that's amazing. So we try to highlight some of that. All of our resources are available on our website, which is www.saps.org.uk. all freely available. We have a UK remit, but we can anyone can use our resources. We have around, in the last month, we had about 65,000 unique users on our website. So there are plenty of people coming to look for our resources and use them. Dan, if I could have the next slide, please. Thank you. So here are some of our examples of some of our resources. They all are designed to support the curriculum. So the curricula at the moment are very busy, they're packed with information. So all of our resources support that teaching. We can see some of them there. That's an example of one of our posters on plant disease. There's one of our videos demonstrating our practical work. And right at the bottom there, we've got our animations, which are very popular for discussing some core plant topics. We've also got specific resources around context as well. And I mentioned the practical science as well. As I said, they're all free to use. We do have a secondary focus, but there are primary resources as well. And one of the advantages of being part of the Botanic Garden community is that we have people working in the Botanic Garden and in the Sainsbury Laboratory as well, who give us inspiration for resources and support in that development. So it's great to have that expertise. And saying that, if there's anyone out there who's got ideas for resources, for teaching resources, then do get in touch with us and we can see whether that's something that we'd be able to support you with, or might be able to develop that idea further. We'll have the next slide, please, Dan. Thank you. We're not just about looking at those resources on our website. We've also thinking about professional development of teachers and moving towards thinking about how we teach about plants. So thinking around pedagogy. We've had a very successful online course developed with STEM Learning here in the UK, which is Teaching Biology, Inspiring Students with Plant Science, which looks at how you can use plants as an example or throughout the whole of the biology curriculum. We had around, on that online course, we've had around over 3,000 learners on that course, which is fantastic, more than we'd ever be able to reach by doing in-person or face-to-face training. We're hoping to have a future online course supporting a core topic in plant science, so teaching photosynthesis. And we've got some other pedagogy resources that Chris Graham is working on. As Dan mentioned, Chris is a teacher in our team, and he's looking again at how we can use plants across the whole of biology. Dan, if I could have the next slide, please. And of course, none of this is any good if we aren't able to get in touch with teachers. Teachers are notoriously time poor, technicians as well are under pressure. So we try to reach teachers in lots of different ways. We have a scheme where we send out USBs with resources on, with SAPS branding on, to early career teachers. We sent out 898 of those in the last academic year, and that's to trainees training across the UK. We reach around 40 to 50% of biology trainees in the UK each year via that scheme. We also work with their trainers, so we run an annual training event for initial teacher educators, and that allows them to come and play with some of our resources, get to know SAPS a bit, and get to know some of the different things that we do. We have a lecture at that event given by Beverly Glover, who will be giving a lecture tomorrow, I believe, as part of this conference. And we also have a newsletter that we send out twice termly, which reaches just under 8,500 people. So we do have a good reach out to lots of different people. And finally, just on the next slide, we've got social media channels. So do have a look at those. All our videos are hosted on our YouTube channel. So if you want to have a quick look at what some of our practicals are, then that's probably the best way of doing that. I'm going to hand over back to Dan to talk a bit more about what we're doing in terms of thinking about the biology curriculum as a whole and how plants fit into that.
Brilliant, thank you very much, Alex. So the school curriculum. lots of people make suggestions that there's not a great deal of plants content within the school curriculum. I disagree, there's a reasonable amount. And what we try to do here at SAPS is make sure that that curriculum is broad and balanced to allow plants to flourish within it. So for those international viewers here, we've got various national curriculum that are followed across the regions of the UK. And most of those are highly specified. So that leaves little wiggle room for teachers to deviate from that national curriculum and teach subjects that might be core to their heart or of interest to them. But what we try to do is represent the best way to teach that biology curriculum through plants. So many of the biology topics that are taught across the key stages are common across the kingdoms. So plants can be used in fantastic ways to introduce novel concepts or novel contexts to the school in the school curriculum. So what we try to do is not just bung in more plants, and that's not going to be helpful because it's hugely crammed in at the moment, certainly in parts of England and Wales. What we try to do is make sure that you can exemplify those topics and those areas of the curriculum using plants as an example. And one of the projects that Chris is working on is how enzymes can be used throughout that entire curriculum. Every time an enzyme appears within the curriculum, how can you use a plant example there rather than the go-to animal example, for example? So there are many things that we can do with that school curriculum. I could talk at length about this, and what we're trying to do is prepare ourselves to be able to represent a really positive experience of plants in the curriculum for any future curriculum change. We're always looking for new ideas, so do get in touch if you've got any particular feelings or comments on the curriculum that you'd like to contribute. So that wraps up the brief summary of what we do on the SAPS side of things. We do represent the entire of the UK, or try to. So we have our work cut out for us. We're always looking for people to work with to extend our reach. So do please get in touch. So the next slide, here we go, is where we're going to talk about the higher education side of our project. So this has got one major project, the Gatsby Plant Science Summer School. So that's a project that's been going for about 15 years, started at the University of Leeds, funded by Gatsby, and it's to try and enthuse undergraduates at the end of their first year of a bioscience course, or second year in Scotland, from 28 universities across the UK. And we take them to a venue when we can in person to enthrall them with plants, whether that's through excellent lectures from inspirational plant scientists from all over the world, or through practical activities, or through tutorials and seminars. So there's loads that happens in that week, but the key to the success and the impact of this project is that we then support those alumni throughout the rest of their university career by helping them pursue any of the opportunities that might be out there, and making them aware of those kinds of opportunities that you can have for work experience, for studentships, for internships, for sandwich placements, or whatever the sorts of things are that they can grab to pursue future studies or careers in plant science. So, and at the moment, what's fantastic is we've got a whole load of those alumni that are what are called plant champions within their host institutions. So they're the ones that are going to go out and try and persuade others and help persuade others that plants should be part of their futures. So that's the undergraduate audience. Moving down to that post-16 audience, so 16 to 18-year-olds in full-time education in the UK, we have two projects that we've developed recently. One is a Future Learn course, so that's a massive open online course. That was developed with some EU funding to try and illustrate through food biotechnology, agricultural technology, and biotechnology that plants are a fascinating part of food tech. So it's developed specifically for 16 to 19-year-olds. And in our first year of this course running back in 2019, we were really pleased to get over 3,000 learners on that course. So a really good way to help introduce the idea that plants are core to the food that you eat, with a view that those A-level biology students, for example, that might want to study this course, can draw inspiration and demonstrate their interest in the subject to their peers. The other side of the work that we're doing on this at the moment is something called our Into Biology website. This will change name very shortly and is being revamped. But it's a site to try and present all of those options that you have available to you as a post-16 or undergraduate student, for things like what courses could you study, what skills might you need to go into plant science, those plant science opportunities that are out there, project ideas that you could do as a post-16 student or as an undergraduate. Loads of ideas there, and that's one of the other examples that we have to engage young people through the online arena to try and promote plant science. We do other projects, and if anyone's interested in any of those, do get in touch. But I hope what we've done this afternoon is just introduce you some of those, showcase some of those ideas that we have that we've been doing over the past few years to try and infuse and enthrall young people with plants, because we know most people here know they're great and amazing, but it's about trying to spread that message. So do get in touch. I'd like to briefly thank Alex for her time this afternoon to introduce some of those SAPS projects, and once again thank and congratulate Oxford Botanic Garden for inviting us along this afternoon. And I look forward to answering some of the questions. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.